Are you an artist, a singer, a songwriter, a beat maker who is looking to record your own music, but you have no idea where to even get started? Hey, music makers, my name is Jeff, and welcome to Ignite Music Project. My mission here is to help you learn how to write, record, arrange, produce, mix, and release amazing sounding music, all from your home or bedroom studio. I'm a musician, a singer, a songwriter myself, and I've been making music out of my home studio for the past 10 years. And along the way, I've learned a lot of lessons. I've made a lot of mistakes, but I've also had some great success. And I want to pass along some of the things that I've learned to help you and to get you started on the right path. Today, we are going to talk about perhaps one of the most important tools that you can know or learn about that will help you bring tonal balance, give you greater clarity, and make your music sound better and help it be more enjoyable for your listeners and people that are going to enjoy that music. And that is EQ. EQ is short for equalizer, and it does exactly what the name suggests. It helps to equalize or make equal all the sounds across the frequency spectrum to help them blend and be more synergistic or work better together as you listen to music. And I'm going to talk about some of the different elements of an EQ and the terminology that you'll need to know, and help get you thinking about EQ and how you are going to be able to use that in your music. So let's get started. EQs come in all different shapes and sizes. I'm in Logic Pro 10 here, but these principles that I'm going to talk about apply to any DAW or digital audio workstation that you might be working in, whether it be Pro Tools, Studio One, Cubase, FL Studio, whatever it may be. Each of those platforms has access to EQs because it's so important. And these principles will help get you started there as well. So let's get an EQ loaded up here on this track, which is just a basic piano track. And this is the channel EQ, the stock plugin that comes with Logic Pro 10. But this is a graphic EQ, or an EQ that gives you visual representation of what you are affecting or what you're doing. But EQ is an effect or a plugin that you place or insert onto an individual or group of audio tracks that affects the sound that comes into it, and then, or changes it or alters it, and then sends it out the other side on its way to let the listener hear it. And EQs can affect any sound you can think of. You can put an EQ on a bass guitar, a kick drum, an electric guitar, a vocal, a keyboard, anything, because each of those instruments will need some EQ depending on what you want them to sound like, right? So let's get started with some of the terminology. The human ear can hear frequencies as low as 20 hertz, which is represented over here on this side of the graph. And we can hear frequencies as high as 20,000 hertz or 20 kilohertz all the way up here. And when you think about the types of sounds that we hear, it makes complete sense as where they would sit on this spectrum. On the low side, you have sounds like bass or a kick drum or low sounds, right? And over here on the high end of things, we have cymbals or sibilants or high frequencies that stick out in that area, and everything in between. And an EQ allows you to affect individual or specific frequencies of a particular sound. Think of an EQ as a smart or an intelligent volume knob or volume fader. Instead of turning down or up an entire track, it isolates specific frequencies and turns those either up or down, depending on how we've set the EQ, right? So say we have an acoustic guitar that we've recorded, but it seems to be really boomy in the low end, meaning there's a lot of low frequency energy. It sounds like muddy and it sounds boomy and it just doesn't sound very good. You can't hear the upper frequencies very well, and it doesn't sound like the guitars that you're used to hearing on the radio. Well, we can use an EQ to affect only those lower frequencies and turn those down so that the rest of the sound that we've captured, the mid-range, the high frequencies, are heard better, making the overall sound of the guitar more pleasing to us to hear, right? So each EQ has a certain number of bands or sections of where you can turn up or down that frequency range. This particular frequency has a bunch of different bands, but you'll see 3-band EQs, 2-band EQs, 10-band EQs. It doesn't really matter. They do the same thing. It's just telling you how many individual places you have access to turn up or down a frequency. And there's a couple of other numbers that are important to know. First of which is the frequency, right? You'll see the frequencies on this EQ represented here at the top of this stack of numbers. Again, all the way from 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz. And that tells you what frequency that individual band is controlling or it will be affecting. The number underneath that is the gain of the EQ band. Gain is another word for volume or level, right? So the higher the gain, the more we are turning that frequency or sound up. The lower the gain, the more we are turning it down. For example, this frequency band right here. As I grab hold of it and turn it up, you'll see that the frequency or the gain number is rising plus a dB, which is a level of measurement of volume. Or likewise, if we turn it down, you'll see that represented by a negative dB number, meaning we are turning it down or lower. And the number underneath that, which is probably the hardest thing to learn how to understand and manipulate and use properly, is the Q, or the width of what that band will affect, how it will affect and work with the frequencies surrounding the frequency that you've set it to. So, for example, this band right here. If we want to affect less of the frequencies around this band, meaning when we turn it up or down, we don't want it to affect all the sounds around it, or we want it to affect less of those sounds, what we want to do is make the Q number higher, meaning it's more specific, more exact to just the frequency that we're working with. And likewise, if we want it to be more broad or affect more of the frequencies around it, we will lower the Q. See how that graph changes and shows you exactly what it's doing. So again, we have frequency bands, the different sections of the EQ that we can work with. We have the gain, meaning how loud or quiet we're making it. And we have the Q, which is how much of the frequency the surrounding frequencies we are affecting. And as you learn how to use these tools, it can greatly improve the overall balance and sound of your music. It can make it more pleasing, more natural, and more like what we are used to hearing on the radio. It's an important tool. It's maybe one of the most difficult tools to learn how to use. It's definitely been one of my challenges learning how to make and mix music. But if we start with these basic principles and understandings, you can prepare yourself to really dive in and learn how to EQ, hit the ground running. If you are a person who wants to learn how to make music, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Give this video a like and put down in the comments what type of music you want to learn how to record. Whether that's jazz or hip hop, pop, R&B, rap, country, rock, whatever the music might be. Let me know. I love all types of music, and each style has its different idiosyncrasies and things that you want to be aware of when making that style of music. But I want to help you, and if you know somebody that's interested, share this video with them. Tell them about the channel. I'm just getting started here on YouTube, and I want to grow and build a community of really positive and helpful people that can share their knowledge. Because one thing I've learned working with different musicians and artists is that there are so many talented people out there. So many talented people, and the world needs your music. The world needs it because it's incredible. And a lot of the music that is being made in home studios today is way better than what is being played on the radio. So let's help the world, people. Let's make great music. Again, my name is Jeff. This is Ignite Music Project. And until next time, see ya.